Hey guys, welcome back to the Gloria Living channel. My name is Hannah and I am so glad that you're here with us today. We're going to talk about a subject that I think is super fun to talk about, which is recommendations for plants for new gardeners to grow in their garden. All right, let's go check it out. I think it's good for new gardeners to have recommendations. It can be overwhelming when you want to start gardening and you're not sure how big, how small to go. And there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of answers for gardening, right? But I think starting simple with a few questions is simply, what do you want to grow? But also, what do you think you'll have the most success with? Now, there are a lot of factors that can come into this, where you live and things like that. But I want to recommend just a few plants that I think are great plants for new gardeners. There are three characteristics, I think, in these plants that I am going to recommend that make them, I think, good recommendations for new gardeners. One of those recommendations is we want something that is easy to start. What I mean by that is it's not going to be super finicky with germination. It's going to be something that you're going to have an easy time getting to germinate, getting to begin growing. Secondly, something that is also easy to maintain after it germinates, after it begins to grow. And thirdly, something that is going to be super prolific for you so that you can have a successful gardening year and build that confidence that you need when you begin gardening or when you recommend these to your friend who is about to begin gardening. Now, there are tons of plants that you could grow, and if you walk into a plant nursery or if you look at seed packets, even in your local big box store, you are going to know there are so many options. But I'm going to give options today that I think are great for any new gardener, that I think are good to eat, in my opinion, and easy to grow. And everybody's going to have different opinions and different likes and dislikes, but these are what I would recommend for you. Okay, the first vegetable that I want to recommend for anybody to grow that I think is a really easy one to grow is cucumbers. Cucumbers come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and they are a great snack for the summer. The thing about a cucumber that makes it so wonderful to grow is that, yes, you can start these indoors, but you can direct sow them, which means you just take those seeds and you put them right in the ground and they are going to grow for you. There are some pests with cucumbers, but honestly, although some people can have a hard time, I have not really had a hard time as much with cucumbers. You're always going to get something. And this year we were overrun with cucumbers enough that I let my plants just die and gave up on them because I was overrun with cucumbers. These are great. They can be trellised. They don't have to be. You can let them run wild on the ground, but they're easy to sow. They direct sow right into the ground. They're easy to maintain, and they are incredibly prolific. So number one the first one I would recommend, and in no specific order, but the first one I would recommend for any new gardener is a cucumber. Okay guys, this next one is controversial because it is a love-hate vegetable. Some people love it, some people hate it, but I'm still recommending it because I enjoy it and I think it's a great plant for beginners. So the next one also can be direct seeded. It is very easy to maintain and it is incredibly prolific. It is the zucchini. Okay, some people hate zucchini and they think it's a waste of time to grow because they don't enjoy eating it. There are a lot of things you can do with zucchinis. You can make them into noodles if you don't like to do carbs or if you're avoiding carbs. Some people think that would be disgusting. I don't, but some people don't like that. But worst case scenario, you shred a zucchini up, you put it in a bread with some chocolate chips, and you are going to be eating a slice of heaven, okay? So zucchini bread is always a great alternative for those who love carbs, and I do too, so I'm just saying, zucchinis are good options. The great thing about a zucchini is that, one, you can pull it out of the garden, and it's going to look like this, and you can slice it up, you can grill it up, you can do whatever you want with it. But if you forget it in there, this is what you're going to get. Look at this thing. It is ginormous, okay? Any new gardener who walks out to their garden and picks something this size out of their garden is gonna feel like so excited and so full of confidence that they grew this, okay? This is why I believe these are great for new gardeners, because when you're starting to garden, you need success to really give you that push to keep going sometimes. It helps with the confidence. There are a lot of questions that go into gardening. There are a lot of diseases, a lot of pests, a lot of problems that you can run into. But when you start small and you start with baby steps and you start growing things like this, that can, you know, if you don't want to eat it, use it as, you know, a self-defense club, whatever you want to do, okay? This, I mean, it's so fun to grow. And if you have kids and you pull them out to the garden and they're carrying this thing back, they're gonna love it. So I recommend zucchini for any first-time gardener as well, if they're looking for something easy to grow. And heck, if you're not a hater of zucchini, you even get something to eat too. One of the next ones I'm going to recommend is one of my favorites and my husband's as well to grow. And once again, a very easy plant to grow. And that is beans. Beans are very easy. Once again, they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes and flavors, and they're just delicious. You can have them trellising up and have runner beans, or you can have a bush bean, which is what we tend to grow. This is one of the varieties we grew. It's a less sweet one, but we grew another one that was really good. I don't have the packet. I gave it to my mom to grow as well. But it was, I can't remember exactly the name of it, but we're gonna order it again. It was so good. It was from Baker Creek as well. Anyways, bush beans are so easy and so delicious to grow. They're easy to preserve because you can just blanch them and throw them in the freezer. They are great, or just eat them fresh all summer long. They are easy to grow. You just put them into the ground direct sow. Once again, you can soak them overnight or you don't have to. But either way, you just stick them in the ground. They'll grow up and they will produce so many beans for you. Beans like want to feed you, so you should really let them do that and plant some beans. They're delicious, they're fun to grow. They're a great snack for the kids. They're a great snack for you while you're in the garden and just even on a side for dinner. So beans are something I would absolutely recommend because once again, easy to sow, easy to maintain, easy to just really enjoy a lot of. They're gonna be very prolific and delicious. So beans are another one that I would recommend for new gardeners to grow. Last but not least is actually probably my very favorite plant to grow in the garden. And the reason they're my very favorite is not because of how much I love and enjoy eating them, although I do. It's because of how much my family loves enjoying and eating them. And because I love gardening, I love other people enjoying gardens. That gives me joy and me pleasure. And so my family loves this next crop. It's super easy to grow, and it is peas. So sugar snap peas are delicious. These are right here from Johnny Seeds, a packet of sugar snaps that we're gonna plant here in a few weeks. And here are some that we grew in the fall that were from Baker Creek. These were good, these were big, and they had purple flowers. They were really pretty. Peas are so easy to grow. Once again, you direct sow them in the ground. You do not need to transplant them inside or worry about starting them. You just stick that seed in the ground and it will pop up and grow for you. One of the things that I absolutely love about peas is that although they need to be trellised in some way, shape, or form, it can be really easy to do that. We'll do a video on that as the fall comes around and we're growing ours. These can be grown in a pot, and I think sometimes we think about trellising and we don't think you can grow that in a small container, but you can. Just because you need to trellis it does not mean you can't grow it in a container. What you'll see behind me are my buckets. We rent right now. I have a large garden. It's at a family's, on a family's piece of land, okay? So we don't own land at the moment, but we are renting. And so we, at our own house, grow in pots, and our peas we grow in pots and we trellis them up. And so we'll do a video on how to do that here soon, because they're just such a fun plant to grow, and they're so delicious, and my kids love them. And so it's so fun to walk out and they get so excited. They see the flowers and they see the peas starting to grow, and they're just so yummy. And you can eat them fresh, you can put them in a stir fry, you can preserve them, do whatever you want, and even just honestly raw as a side at the kitchen table. That's what we did growing up. They're so good. They're such a great treat in the summer and the fall. So yeah, peas are something I would absolutely recommend growing. They're one of my favorites, and I hope that they'll become one of your favorites too. Okay, so here's the deal. I think it would be a mistake to not address what I think people are wondering why I did not mention certain plants, but not everything is easy to grow in the garden. There are some nostalgic things to grow that are actually quite difficult. Things that you might not even be too much to fight over, like corn, kind of hard to grow. Peppers, surprisingly, can be difficult to grow depending on the gardener. And most importantly, what I think people think I might be missing is the ever-loved tomato. You might be wondering why I did not mention the tomato. I think it's very important to note that tomatoes, although beautiful, delicious, and really the ideal garden plant here are actually really hard to grow. And in some ways you'd say, well, why is it hard? Yes, it grows up. And these, look good behind me. Well, when you're growing in large bunches or close together, or if you're growing in a climate like mine in Tennessee, it's very humid. And tomatoes kind of want to die. They are so susceptible to diseases and pests that they can be really, really difficult to grow. Worth it and delicious, but difficult. I would never tell a young gardener not to grow tomatoes, and I would never not give a new gardener a tomato plant that I had started. But they are difficult, and if you're gonna go into it, you just need to know in your mind it might die, and that's okay. And you might get something beforehand, but don't be surprised. The only exception to this, a cherry tomato can be really easy, especially in a pot. If you're growing like this, you'll probably be fine. But if you are growing in rows like I do in my large garden, you're gonna have to fight off diseases. They will grow bushy and big and strong, and you'll think that's great, except they'll lose air circulation, their leaves will touch the ground, they'll get funguses, and they can die fast. And so it can be really intimidating, and for a new gardener, I would hate for them to just run into those problems. Like I said, gardening can come with its challenges, and the ground is cursed. The Bible teaches us this. Gardening is not easy all the time, and there are so many things that want to kill your plants. So for a new gardener, I think it would be a little bit traumatizing if you try and grow tomatoes and within a week of your plant getting some type of fungus, it dies. And so that makes somebody think, oh, I must not be a good gardener. And instead of realizing, no, these are just the challenges that we all face while gardening, and they're just things that you learn to overcome and figure out how to fight against. But I think it's very important for new gardeners to start with plants that they're going to have almost guaranteed success with, and that are harder plants to grow, that are really prolific and really easy for them, so they can get their feet wet, build up that confidence, and want to continue to grow a garden year after year. I believe it is so important for us to want to grow our own food, even if in small batches or amounts, or larger batches and amounts, depending on what you can handle or where you are in your life. But I want to encourage people to be able to grow things, whether they can be in small buckets, or if you need a little bit larger space, whatever you have, to be able to grow something and to be able to experience the joy of gardening, and to really get your feet wet in this. And I think it's really important, and I think it is really just an enjoyable hobby. Obviously, I enjoy it, and I really think that a lot of people who give it a shot, especially who are given the right tools and resources at the beginning, really enjoy gardening. And what is more fun than growing something and being able to walk out to it and eat off of a plant that you grew? I mean, that's just amazing. So I really think that these are great recommendations for any new gardener the first time they're gardening, or whether they have been attempting to and not having success, whatever. For a new gardener who needs some encouragement and needs some ideas on what would be good for them to plant in their garden to have a successful gardening year. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it was helpful to you. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video, please share it with your friends, family, or any new gardener in your life, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's really the best way you can continue to support us in creating this content for you. If you're a new gardener or you've been gardening for a lifetime, we're so happy to have you, and until next time guys, we will see you soon.